It is 6 o'clock in the heart of the Texas Hill Country, and you're listening to Eat, Play, Live with me, Andi P, the show that's chasing dreams and crushing goals. My goal here is to help you live a healthier, happier, more balanced life. That's right. And our focus for this year is learning to love ourselves unconditionally. That's right. So there's a lot of rewards to loving yourself unconditionally, wouldn't you think? You be happier. Yeah, happier, have more confidence, you're more independent. Your whole quality of life will be better, right? When you just totally and completely love yourself. But at what cost? Yeah. There is actually a cost to loving yourself because you may have to do some major soul-seeking hard work, like for a lifetime. You may have to forgive people that you don't want to forgive. You may have to let go of those past hurts, habits, and hang-ups that have brought you where you are now and are preventing you from fully and completely loving yourself. You know, you might have to let go of what other people think in order to totally love yourself. These are all costs. But are they worth it? Are they worth all the rewards? You might have to get the heck out of your comfort zone and get out of your own damn way. I tell my son that a lot. Just get out of your own damn way. You can do this. You can do anything. You can love yourself, but you are the one that's preventing you from being able to do that. So our show tonight, I want to talk about costs versus reward. In everything we do, every area of our lives, we have to figure out if the cost outweighs the reward. And at what point things shift is when that reward outweighs the cost. So it's called the social exchange theory. People, of course, seek to minimize the cost while maximizing the reward. That's what it's all about, right? So let's see how good it can get. And what about you? Are the rewards of living the healthier, happier, more balanced life worth the costs for you? So this show may be a little bit of a thinker. You may have to figure out what are the costs for you that you've been letting block you from going after what you want. So let's start with eating healthy. Of course, you are listening to Eat, Play, Live. So we'll start with the eating realm. And the reward, of course, to eating healthy is you look better and you feel better. Kind of a win-win. However, there are costs. It requires discipline, giving up things you like. That's hard to do. But you know what the crazy thing is? Sometimes things that are a cost in the beginning as you start to make changes become more of a reward later. So let me explain. Like I was thinking about froyo. How often do you think about froyo? It's a beautiful thing. And it used to be something that I considered a major treat. Okay. I would sneak away from work and go get a frozen yogurt. Oh, and a big one too. Yeah. I was looking up the stats on how many calories are in a frozen yogurt because you feel like you're being kind of good, right? It's not ice cream. I'm being healthier. I'm choosing frozen yogurt. Well, a standard serving size, which is just 1 cup, has 264 calories. If that doesn't sound like a lot to you, when's the last time you had just a standard 1 cup serving and then all the toppings that you put on top? Okay, so like triple that because you know how you are. But so frozen yogurt was my big treat. And so when I made the switch to start eating clean and healthy, I gave up almost all dairy. So a little bit of cheese. That's about it. So what I found is that my body didn't want dairy. So then when I would sneak out to go get the froyo, it still tasted good, but for like the next day, I felt terrible and I looked kind of pregnant, actually, like really bloated. So one thing that you might find if you give up dairy is our bodies have learned to tolerate dairy, but most of us, it doesn't really want it. Yeah, it doesn't really respond all that well to it. So what was a reward for myself, having this little treat, became a cost. And the cost of being bloated and feeling yucky outweighed the reward. So yeah, I haven't had one in, I don't know, year or two. Yeah. And after a while, you don't miss it anymore because the reward is bigger than the cost. Okay, so what else? In eating healthy, of course, the most obvious cost is the cost, right? The actual price of healthier food, especially organic food, grass-fed, no antibiotics, no pesticides, all that kind of good stuff. Well, they charge you more, of course. So that is definitely an obvious cost. But the reward? Well, how about not poisoning our bodies with pesticide and stuff that is actual poison that we're putting in our bodies? Seems like kind of a good reward to me. I don't know. How about preparing food at home? That's a really easy way to make a change into a healthier way of eating, but there is a cost to eating at home because you got to think about it, right? You got to plan ahead. You got to buy the groceries. In my case, you got to learn how to cook. There is a cost associated with going there, but the reward, maybe you have more time home with your family because you're cooking together. Maybe you're doing it all together. Maybe it's the feeling of accomplishment when you actually do prepare something and it turns out good and you're shocked and amazed, or the fact that you just know what's in it. You know what you're putting in your body, and it's less expensive to cook at home, even if you're buying the more expensive food. Does that make sense? So the healthier organic food costs more, but it still doesn't cost as much as eating out, and you don't have to tip. So now, if you do eat out, please tip and tip well. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there because those people work really hard, and that is a thankless job. So please tip well. Eating out. The cost of eating out, besides the tipping, it is more expensive. And you have very little input on how that food is prepared. You can say rare, medium, well done, great, but how are they cooking it? Are they slathering it in butter? Who knows what is going into all that stuff that you're getting? And the tastier it is, the more weird stuff that's probably in it that you have no idea. And there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. So if you want to be in charge of what you're feeding your body, then eating out is probably not the way to do that. So that is going to be the cost. The reward to eating out, of course, is that it's fun and tasty and social. And so I'm not saying don't do it, but weigh your costs versus your rewards. How about eating sugar and processed food for years and years and years? It's something most of us have done for years and years and years. And what is the cost? Well, I don't know, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Yeah, cancer loves sugar. All those nifty things. Huge cost. Huge cost. The reward of eating all that junk? Instant gratification. Boy, do we love our instant gratification. And the drug-like effect that it actually has on your brain. It's a real thing. It really does. Your brain really does feel good when you give it that crap. But man, your body doesn't. And the effects on your brain are short-term, and you're stronger than that, okay? You don't have to make these decisions knowing that short-term feel good. You can be stronger. You can overcome that and know that nothing tastes as good as thin feels or I should say as healthy feels. Now, I said thin on purpose because that was what I was taught in Weight Watchers. That was a saying that they taught us. And if your goal is specifically for weight loss, then yes, that applies. Nothing tastes as good as thin feels. The thin becomes the reward that's worth that cost. So what about moving your body? I mean, surely the rewards of exercising and moving your body outweigh the costs of not, right? I mean, surely they do. And that's why Americans are so fit and trim. No, you're blowing my theory, people, because the rewards are so much higher. And yet, apparently, the costs are higher than we realize. So what is the deal? What is with us? What is it about moving our bodies that seems like such a high cost to us that we're just not willing to make that sacrifice? I don't know. And I should know. I've been there. Okay, right? I know I've been very overweight. I remember getting in an airplane. Oh, I hated flying because you get there and you get the seatbelt and I had to extend it, right? Like no matter who sat there before me, it seemed like I always had to extend the seatbelt and make it just a little bit bigger to go all the way around. That is not a good feeling. That is not a happy place. So I got that. I didn't want to play on the playground with my kids. I was not going to go down a slide because I was terrified that my butt would literally get stuck on the slide. And I'm not playing. Really thought that that was going to happen. I don't think it ever happened, but I was pretty sure that it would. So here is my segment on play, and I couldn't play. Not in that way. So that's a high cost. So what flips the switch to where all of a sudden you realize the cost is too high and I'm not willing to live like this anymore? Well, that's the question. And that's what I found. You know, I was a Weight Watchers leader for a while, and I found that people would come in, and if that switch had not been flipped, they weren't going to lose the weight. They'd lose a little, and then they'd gain it back, and then they'd make excuses, and then they'd gain a little more back, because until that switch is flipped in your mind, you're not ready to make the changes. The cost has not gotten high enough for you to make the changes that you need to make. And the hard part is, it's different for everybody. Yeah, we all have a different place, a different whatever it's going to take to make us change, to make us go after what we really want. So I was thinking about, for me, what were the high costs of being fat? What made, because it wasn't just for a minute. I was heavy for a while, and I was okay with it kind of for a while. So what was it that finally flipped that switch? So some of the costs were, there was nowhere to shop. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to find clothes. And especially when I was pregnant, then it was extra hard because I was fat and pregnant. And then there's like, you're already an extra large. So now where do you go from that? I'm, rocking the pregnancy moo-moo, but there's nowhere to shop. And so for me, I kind of stopped even caring so much about how I looked because there just weren't a lot of choices. So the reward of weight loss was, I had a credit card. Do you remember Lane Bryant? I mean, I guess they're still around, right? The store that's just for larger size women. Well, I had a credit card to Lane Bryant because it was pretty much the only place that I could shop. Oh, the day I cut up that card, that was a happy, happy day. And all of a sudden, every store became available as a shopping opportunity. Okay, this reward may have just turned into a cost. It definitely turned into a cost for a while. It got a little crazy because your mind is like overwhelmed with, I can wear this stuff and it fits and it looks cute. I need it all. You don't need it all. It's okay. It's not going anywhere. Calm down. But huge reward, right? When you go from having no options to having tons of options. Another cost of being overweight was, well, I didn't get a heck of a lot of dates, but the reward is that I had very little drama in my life. For real, just saying. Cost of being overweight, not a lot of energy. Didn't really want to get out there and do all the things. The reward of that, well, I had lots of free time to watch TV or go out to eat. Oh, you see where the cycle starts, right? What cost is it going to take to stop the cycle for you? So for me, like I said with the slide, realizing that I was missing out on playtime with my kids, yeah, that's where the switch started to flip. I didn't even want to go. My boys love roller coasters, as do I, but I was terrified to ride a roller coaster with them because I was afraid that if I pulled the thing that keeps you from falling out, it wouldn't pull tight enough to hold my child in his seat. That's terrifying. That's a terrifying thought. So I don't want to miss out on the opportunity of riding roller coasters with my boys. No way. Drop that weight. Get on the roller coaster. Just live it. Live it. It's so, yeah. So for me, that was what it took. But that's what I want you to think about is what will it take for you to flip your switch? Where are the costs getting too high? Is it with your health? Is it with your ability to get out and do the things you want to do? What do you really want to do? And what cost is holding you back? And I talk a lot about losing weight because that's my journey. My journey was going from being very overweight, obese, and coming back into a healthy place. But that's not everybody's story. So I have a girlfriend who was very, very, very thin, but an example of still not listening to your body, not giving your body maybe what it needs, also has a detrimental effect, right? So my girlfriend, Jenny, super type A, everywhere, all the time, work all day, don't hardly eat anything, get home, get on the treadmill, do some cardio, so super skinny, super teeny tiny skinny little thing, and was having pain, a couple of different kinds of pain, but busy. I workaholic and can't really take time to figure out what's causing that. Get a quick doctor's appointment, move on. We have to listen to our bodies. It's not always because we're overweight. It's not always because we're doing anything wrong. Just the cost of not paying attention to what's going on with us, to not taking the time to deal with something's not right. I know something's not right. Take the time. Okay? So yeah, it was cancer in Jenny's case, and mid 40s. She didn't last 6 months. And I wonder sometimes, if she had slowed down, had more muscle, had more weight on her. I don't know if it would have made any difference, but cost and reward. Well, the reward was that I got to know her. So anyway, I didn't mean to go quite so deep there, but I just want you to understand that it's just so vital that we put ourselves first and we love ourselves well enough to know that not doing what we need, the cost is too high. It's too high to put it off. It's too high to not listen to your body. It's too high to not eat healthy and to not move. The cost is too high. All right, where else does the cost of living outweigh the reward? Where else in your life? There are probably all kinds of areas like, do you spend too much time at work? Maybe missing out on some very vital couple time, family time. I know, that's our society, right? We got to work. Well, what is the cost of that? And what is the reward for you? Is the salary your reward? Okay, that's fine. As long as the cost isn't higher, then that's fine. You know, it's up to you to know the balance. Find the balance and go for the balance. Make that a priority. Make that part of what you're chasing. We're not just chasing our dreams, but we're chasing the balance, because you can have both. So what about chasing your dreams? Is the cost of your dream too big for you to go after it? I mean, is the cost really too big, or are you just afraid that it will be? What's the cost of getting honest with yourself? Or how about getting honest with other people? What's the worst that can happen? Is that where your brain goes? You automatically start thinking worst case scenario. I can't do that. Whatever. Maybe there's a problem that you've been trying to solve, right? Just pounding your head against this brick wall to no avail. And you just need to ask yourself, what if I did what I really want to do in this situation? What if I just did it instead of back and forth and having this imaginary worst case scenario? So what if you just did it? What is the actual cost? Well, I don't know. No matter what it is. I mean, someone might get mad. They might hate you. They might talk smack about you. They might sue you. They might divorce you. They might, I don't know. They could do all kinds of things. And probably over the course of your life, some of those things have happened or will happen. But did you die? No. That's probably a worst case scenario. I'm just saying, we let ourselves go to that absolute worst case. Oh, I can't do what I really want to do because all these terrible things could happen. But what are the odds that the really worst possible things are what's going to happen? Probably pretty slim. Yeah. So what are the odds that they go right and you get what you want? Isn't that worth it? I don't know. I mean, there may be other costs. You will probably have to sacrifice time, money, mental effort. If you're going to chase your dreams, it's going to take some focus and some determination and some mental strength. And all of that may be a cost to you. But in the end, what a reward. What a reward. And then, because, we're going down kind of a clear path, so let me just take a little side bunny trail, because sometimes the rewards are not healthy rewards. Yeah, we have to watch out for that, because sometimes our twisted little minds have grown up and we think something is a reward because we like it, but it's not necessarily good for us. Does that make sense? So kind of an example that I thought of is there was a child in my life, and she was a very strong-willed little girl, and she would get in trouble, and her dad would try everything to get her to act right, and she would just keep on and keep on and keep on and just push those buttons and kick and scream and throw things and just anything you can imagine a 4-year-old just throwing a complete absolute tantrum. And eventually she would get a spanking, right? And it would not help at all. And what I realized is that the spanking was a reward. Weird, right? You would think the spanking is a cost, but the spanking was actually a reward, because what she was after was attention and power. And she was getting it. She was totally getting it. So it wasn't probably the way that, a 4-year-old maybe can't decide, how do I want this attention? What do I want this attention to look like? All this little child knew is that she wanted attention, and even bad attention was attention. So that's what I want you to just process that a little bit and think about places in your life where something that you're considering a reward actually may be a spanking. So it's not, it may be more of a cost than a reward. So think about that. Okay. And when you do go for something, give yourself the opportunity to think, what would it look like if everything went right? How cool would that be? And give yourself the chance to find out. Just stay curious, right? So I know this has kind of been a lot to unpack, especially with that last little rewards not being rewards. So I want you to process that and think about that. And that may be something to slow down and give yourself some space to think about. Tomorrow is World Meditation Day. So that is an excellent way and time to slow down, give yourself some space. I was going to say, don't think about it while you're meditating, but if you've ever meditated, you know that if you try not to think about something, you're totally going to think about it. That's just how it works. So I encourage you to, if you haven't tried meditation, try it tomorrow. Make World Meditation Day a thing where you try something new and stay curious, because you might just discover that it's kind of cool and it kind of helps you find that balance and that calmness that I think we all so desperately need. I know that I do frequently. So I'm so glad you joined me tonight. I am Andi P, reminding you that loving yourself well brings great rewards, and curiosity leads to discovery. So until next week, stay curious, friends. My buddies think I'm